Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for this opportunity with you all today. And again, good to see the peers, the known figures, and the things happening around even during COVID, and again plans happening for post-COVID. The great delight is what, like beyond COVID, we can see at least the corporates do have the lethal weapon as IT, which trying to take it against whatever it's happening today and whatever it's going to happen in future also. What are the plans which we planned for 5 6 years now? It is shrunken and try to bring it within 6 months, and we are able to see huge volumes of the transformation which is coming part of it. And especially in rural India, where we were claiming, saying like it is a big a difficult task in terms of connectivity, electricity, and even user acceptability or resource availability in the last mile, now suddenly disappeared. And we can see huge volumes of good respect and acceptance on that. So the diversified panel, and again I was very happy to see the area is banking, digital transformation and influence. I will use the other word, it's already influence. We are going to leverage now, and we are going to get best out of it. And the expectations internally is what the best thing everybody is doing, especially BFSI is already ahead of the curve and trying to do it. But the need necessary things which is part of the digital, and how we are going to influence either internal customers or external customers, that's where it's going to set a phase for all of us to take this digital banking transformation towards the matured areas to influence both the current and the future current banking. To start with, we would want you to just introduce yourself and which areas you are trying to do it. I will come to Prasanna second, because Prasanna I know very well, he can bat along. Let him call him for the first down. And I would start with Mr. Abhijit.
Hey, thanks, Suresh. So I think to introduce myself, I've been here in this banking industry almost 25 years now, and worked closely with large global banks. And for a change, I am part of mutual fund industry now. Last couple of months, I have been looking after the technology in Nippon India mutual funds. That's been the journey so far, and along this journey there have been a lot of exciting things that has happened on digital transformation, multiple things on with regards to API platforms, with regards to mobile enhancement, with regards to mobile banking, blockchain, RPA. And certainly we will talk about all these experiences over the course of this session. uh, and I welcome all the other panel members for this forum.
Yeah, great.
And
Getting into the
Suresh,
topic now.
compliment to you on your new look. You come out of your beard, looks better, looks good.
I would say this purely thanks to the people at home. They have to see my face every now and then now. So they're forced to remove all the things which hide us. So let us be transparent at home also. So again, it's all COVID effect. You all know, like we can see now Prasanna in your different new style, and Umswar, at least I'm seeing them in the past, and now it is having a different looks on that. And coming back to Mr. Ashok, from your side, your organization, and what else you feel like a digital transformation which has happened part of your areas?
Yeah, I am Ashok Kumar, General Manager and Chief Technology Officer of Karur Vysya Bank. I have put in totally 37 years of service. 8 years I have seen the manual banking. For the last 30 years, I am purely in IT. If you have to talk about transformation, I can say I have seen from digitization to the digital transformation of the banking industry. And if you have to tell in terms of the softwares, it is from ALPM to DBA to core banking to AI implementation is what I have seen in the banking. So yes, as you said, the digital transformation is not only the buzzword, but that is the need of the hour for every bank to implement the same, once again to compete and to increase their top line and bottom line.
Great. And now I'll come to Prasanna, because I know you have more things to say. And especially from the digital banking, I would want to take your inputs more in terms of what unique reasons and what type of startups and other things are available to leverage so that the digital transformation reaches to the maximum? Right, Prasanna,
You are on mute. Prasanna, you are on mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Thank you, Exito Group, for inviting me here for detailed discussion on trending topics. And good to see our friends, mentors, Abhijit sir, Suresh out here. It will be exciting time for next few half an hour or so. So coming back, Suresh, I think what's happening, digital banking or trends on how fintechs or startups will really help. I think fintech startups are one angle to the overall digital transformation. If you look at how digital transformation happening, it's happening on multiple areas. So one of the important area is your employee experience. How your employees or how your staff members, leadership at your office, board members, how they are widely engaged around the digital agenda, right? How the culture at a bank or at an organization really speaking and taking organization from one orbit to another orbit. So Abhijit will also support. So it's a people is very important, which will drive the rest of the story. The rest of the story, like which type of technology you're adopting, AI or mobility, which is already being accepted and adopted everywhere. But AI or big data, which is some of the organizations are already aware and already part. But new age technology like AR, VR or blockchain, which is it to be in experimentation. So apart from technology, how are you adopting best practices, which really industry is looking for, like open banking or API banking, cyber security or data protection, or how are you managing your operations or doing automation on the so best practices around your various areas in the within a bank. That's very important. And finally, two other angles apart from your people or employee angle or your process angle or your best practices or technology. Regulator, right? So regulator now also become very digital savvy. If you look at video KYCs come to our life as a recommendation on the right time. Just imagine video KYC would have come the next year. So in a pandemic, I think would have really not survived to onboard a customer quickly for end-to-end KYC. So like that, there are many initiatives which we have seen from regulators since 2014-15. Our regulator is one of the best regulator, I think, not only in security, but many digital initiatives being launched and adopted by the banking industry, say example, BBPS or UPI. Or so adoption of how regulator is working around and what regulator is saying, these are the guidelines we should adopt. So that also plays major role in your transformation. How soon you adopt a GEM, or how soon you adopt a BBPS, or how soon you adopt account aggregator, right? If you say I will adopt account aggregator after 3 years, so you are nowhere in the banking. You will be wiped out in the next 10 years if you are not on the API or so that's a very important angle, how regulator and external parties are involved. Lastly, which is very important, which is the customer. How your consumer is moving your banking with the help of his mobile phone or internet usage. Now, customer may not be bothered to visit branches now, right? After a pandemic, so they are well versed with how banking really happens on a mobile phone. And as banks are also aware, they will provide more and more services. Not only banking, but non-banking services will be eventually next 3 years. We'll have a you can order pizza, or you can do shopping online on a mobile banking mobile apps. So Yono is one of the example, or Paytm is another example. Like that, the banks who will create those super apps will have a super apps, or bank will open up their APIs for some other platforms like Ola, Uber, or Zomato. That will be a success game factor for a. So last angle, how consumer is moving. Consumer is more on digital now, Netflix or those things, right? So, and how your millennial consumer is moving, or how your tomorrow's IoT will be your consumers tomorrow. So how you are taking care of moving consumer, or say example, Suresh, you will agree with me, like if 5G will come, complete banking will change, right? Sitting at home will do a number of transactions, or say, or driving, or within a local, or in a car will do food ordering, or many more options. Your electric will be paid by those appliances itself. So it will happen seamlessly. So from this collaboration kind of era today, tomorrow's era is autonomous era. So how we are because customer will drive us. Customer was not using much mobile phone in 2003 or 2000, right? So now they are using, so we have our all models out there. And if we are not thinking mobile first or a cloud first or AI first, so we'll not be able to have a edge. So in a nutshell, digital transformation is a combination of multiple pillars, like how your leadership or how your people, employees are engaged, followed by which process to be automated with automation or and which best practices you are adopting, support from a regulator, and finally do what your consumer is demanding. Say example, consumer don't want anything on AR VR today, and if you are practicing, it's a good thing. But if you are not providing, WhatsApp banking today's era, so I think you are losing something out there. So look at what consumers wants today and tomorrow, and align your resources around that. So I think that will bring on movement from one level to another level as a digital banking. Yeah.
Great insights, as usual, from Prasanna, where you are talking more about AI, big data, again, adopting people best practices on regulators. You even emphasize on transformation account escalator. You used a word which I liked it, super apps for consumer digital, which again try to brainstorm all. And again, you give scope to age is not required, scope up for all of us. So try to bring out even for technology or for the people to explore and get into the digital transformation. Now, moving towards Mr. Ravish Bhatnagar from IndusInd Bank. So, this what are the unique?
Hi, Suresh.
Hi. What are the unique reasons why banks and financial institutions require digital transformation from your organization point of view, and what you feel will be more expected from digital transformation post COVID?
Sure. So I'll take the question. I think the first question, Suresh, to be very frank, I think organizations feel the need because consumers are feeling, are actually changing. So with the ever-changing needs of the customer, organizations and especially financial institutions, very few financial institutions were, by the way, doing this on their own initially, right? I think first they felt the push from the e-commerce companies, and then with a lot of these e-commerce ventures, people felt that this is the way the industry is going, and financial industry will soon follow suit, right? And I think that's where a lot of banks outside India, a lot of financial institution outside actually changed their business model, and then we have also slowly adopted some of that, right? While India, I think, is at the forefront in innovation, which is the customer-facing innovation, but a lot of the back-end innovation, I think we are still following suit. So, to your point specifically, I think because of the customers' changing behavior back in 2014, around 13 to banking, a couple of years back when I looked at the entire figure, the completely, the numbers had almost tripled, right? So more than 50 odd, percent of the customers were using, internet banking and mobile banking per se. So because of these changing needs of the consumers, I think organizations have had to change. And I think it's a long, arduous journey that they had to follow, right? So maybe from the times when Ashok talked about, where the physical era was there, I think over a period of time you had an era where you were trying to, it was a phygital, it was more around digitization of the physical journeys. Then what you came to was a phygital era. And then what you came to is maybe, some banks are at that era and some banks have moved forward, is where you are doing digital transformation. And I'll talk about digital transformation in some time. But a lot of the digital transformation is all about how do you transform your existing processes, right? To now, some banks are moving, and where maybe Prasanna talked about YONO, is where how do you build digital businesses? Now that's the era where a lot of the financial institutions need to be at. So from just digital transforming your existing businesses, doing an end-to-end transformation, to actually then building digital businesses in a very, very different manner. And both are very different things. So I think that's where, because of the consumer push, I think organizations have had to take this particular journey. And coming back to your point on specifically on digital transformations, what are required, or at least what is required, and how are we doing it in my bank? I think there are three important paths to digital transformation, the way we are looking at it. One is, and that's the first and foremost part, which is very difficult and very intangible to the organization, is how do you build digital talent in? Some of it you can obviously source from outside, but a lot of it you will have to inculcate. And how do you, along with the digital talent, how do you build an agile culture, which is actually extremely difficult to build that kind of a culture if it doesn't exist in an organization. And that's the first pillar that we are trying to do. And however small, at least the team sizes are still smaller. They are not into like a triple digit sort of a figure which you'll find for like the big private banks. But still we are trying to ensure that we build the right culture in the team, because I think it's important to set those foundations right. That's number one. Number two is on the technology side. How do you build a modular, reusable, and scalable architecture? So, because unless and until you have that, you will never be able to scale the way you want to scale. So, using a microservices and an API-based architecture, how do you build that modular, reusable, and a scalable uh, architecture so that you can scale your products, you can scale your customer journeys? So that's number two thing that we are focusing on. And number three is basically building the best in class customer journeys with the best of USPs defined for the customer, because everything is determined by the needs. If you're building products on your own, I think it's a passive. You will need to ensure that you now devise and determine products based on the customer needs. So building the best in class customer journeys, which are backed by analytics on the go, by the way, real time analytics, not like you take the data to DDW and you try and analytically sell something to the customer, but real time best in class customer journeys which are made for the new world. I think these are the three things that we are doing all in all to help shape the future for our organization.
Great insights. Again, you're also focusing more on customers. Still, people strongly believe customers are changing and the behaviors and trying to bring out as much as 50% of IoT and mobility, trying to bring out existing process to building digital business areas. Again, you pointed out very clearly culture, digital transformation you are trying to address as much, building best in class of the customers and devising and determining the business classification, which was very great initiatives. Very few people even thought of it. So it's a great going on. I'll come back to you on that once I'll get the first round with other people on how we are getting into the best in class of customer requirements. Now moving to Mr. Sunit Vakaria, you would have heard like how the other people are doing in the banks. From we grow, you grow in digital banking transformation. Anything SOA matured areas influence current banking from your experience or your organization thought process?
Sure. So Suresh, just to get the context, right, Ugro Capital is primarily focused on the SME lending. So we typically lend anywhere between say 20 lakhs to up to 10 crores as a ticket size. And depending upon the size and shape of the customer requirement, we work on those sites, right? And I think in to agreeing to most of the panelists what said, at the end, what you should try to do is keeping customer in mind and keeping customer always in the focus. Because at the end, your business is as much as customer trusts you and customer wants to do business with you. That's the business we all are in. So that's where our journey also starts. So in terms of the pandemic as an opportunity, just to give a context, right? Because digital transformation is an ongoing phenomenon. There's no start to it, there's no end to it. It's all about how you keep on evaluating your side of the story and how much you will do really to make your customer feel able to interact with you when he needs to. He is getting money when he actually wants money into his account, and he's able to be serviced whenever he wants to be serviced, wherever he wants to be serviced upon, right? So that's the kind of areas where we focus upon. And the way we have picked up our side of digital transformation is one broad area, because in the corporate lending side, assessing the customer in terms of his financials, capabilities, and it's not only about his CIBIL score. It's much more than the GSTs, his 24-month histories, transactions, and many more things come in play. So what we focus in last one and a half years is to make sure that I do not need to go to customer for anything, and I should be able to pull all the data available from the market, from all the sources being defined by either government entities or by the private entities. That's the first thing we focused upon. And obviously it goes and aligns to what Ravish also mentioned about the API-based architecture. Because unless you build that, you can't scale up, and you really can't keep on innovating on your side. So that's the first thing we did. And obviously second thing which comes in as part of our entire approval journey is to meet the customer, see his factory, see his outfit or wherever he's operating from. So there we made sure that the entire video-based technologies are onboarded on our side much early. So I can really not need to have a physical visit to any of the customer. And again, I can make sure that customers are assessed and approved for the loans without really need to go any physical visits. That's the second major area which we covered ground during the pandemic. It would have anyways happened, but probably the pandemic helped us to fast track that and get it right. Right. And the third piece, very, very important, is to make sure that how we are using all the data available, again, public or private, to make your decisions correct. And that's where the piece of analytics which comes in anyone and everyone's journey now, to make sure that every call or every loan you are doing the new disbursement should be a better decision than the previous one. And that's where we are leveraging AI and ML decisioning to collect the data, to collect the information we received for all customers up to a previous customer or a prospect, to make sure the next decision is even better than what we've done up to now. And the last area which we touched upon, obviously more keeping in the future in mind, using the omni-channel based journey. So we are trying to make sure customer comes on a web, customer comes on a mobile app, wherever he joins or leaves us, he's able to tick on wherever he left last. And whether it's a staff assisted or a self journey, it doesn't matter. It just comes at the same place where he would have left over, to make sure customer doesn't need to remember how far he progressed, and then making sure you're keeping customers notified at every stage and keep on connecting with him via various marketing campaigns to make sure you're not losing out at any point in time. So these are 4 or 5 broad themes, Suresh, from the lending side, we're working upon to make sure we're always working with the customer at the forefront.
Yeah, Sunit, again, it's very clear and elaborative, talking from SME lending of 20 lakh to 10 crores. Again, assessing the customer beyond history is not so easy task. And again, going and disturbing them, or even avoid physical visits, even using the analytics to do the continuity of the customer is not an easy task. And the way we progress, especially into this particular vertical or area. So it's such a great, and trying to empower the campaign. Surely the message has communicated that digital has enabled you people to address specifically into that SME lending of the different segments of customers which they are trying to utilize, and they are trying to use it more on that. It's a great insights. Again, I'll come back to you to say how you try to maintain the continuity next round, so that you can have some time to go on through that and come back to us. And in the meanwhile, Mr. Abhijit, now you heard people are doing so many things, and I was very happy you said I have moved into getting into more options like mutual funds and other things on that. That's the need of the hour. You know very well, like people talk different things, but all the market now focus more into the areas which you have taken up and you're trying to do it. So if you want to say some 3 major main key factors of digital transformation in that area, whichever you are currently opting and trying to do it, which you can share to us, so that it will be more nice to have it.
Yeah, so I think Suresh, thanks. Prasanna, I think, touched upon few areas. I mean, one is why digital transformation at all. I mean, the levers that you look at. I think one is certainly, I think we talked about the consumer behavior, and it's completely different. The next generation consumers and the millennial consumers are completely different in nature. The way the customers behaved a decade ago and the way their expectations are at right now are completely different. So that is one specific thing. Then you also look at the technology disruption itself that has happened, and the ecosystem of the digital landscape that has completely changed. You look, there are fintechs that have evolved, there are multiple digital partners who have evolved, there are identity providers. I mean, in India we have Aadhaar like identity provider. Of course, I mean, it will come to a maturity at some point in time. And apart from that, there are third-party services which provides data, which provides APIs. There are bureaus who can be connected online. So if you really look at it, the complete digital landscape has changed. So that again fuels to kind of it's one more reason for a digital transformation. Third, and the important is the challenges that the organizations are really facing with regards to the end of life legacy systems that they currently have. And so that's also one of the important thing why the organizations will think that we need to move on to more matured, more futuristic systems. Now, regulations and compliance, they are continuously kind of being improvised, and the banking and the financial sector has to align to that requirement. So that also is one of the important thing. But I think if you really look at it, uh, these are few levers which will keep on kind of creating the need for digital transformation. And if I was to quote some numbers, I mean, these are some of the numbers coming from the market and from McKinsey's, around a market of 80 billion US dollars till 2026. I mean, that is what is being anticipated only on artificial intelligence. I mean, if you look at it from that perspective, and if it's a digital transformation, it will be 5 times more than that. And if I want to dwell on the pointers, the growth drivers, one is exponentially growing digital data. The kind of data, the volume of data that we have, and we had a decade ago, is completely different. Then your rising investments in digital transformation, increasing partnerships between financial institution and fintech companies. I mean, that is being the primers, and a growing need to provide a kind of a complete enhanced customer experience. Now, three important pillars, or rather four important pillars, which I would like to touch upon is, one is the customer experience for any organization. If you have a seamless, frictionless customer experience, that's something which every organization want their customers to have a seamless and a frictionless customer experience, be it on their payments, be it on their transactions, be it on their customer service, all throughout the life cycle of a customer engagement. They would want their customers to be really happy. uh, Second is the operational excellence part of it. All the back office operations that the organizations are running are fairly being getting automated. I mean, if you look at a decade back, we had so much of manual interventions, and if you look at now, I mean, the last time I worked with the banks, I mean, I had done so many of the RPA implementations, which kind of automated so much of the back office operations and eliminated the manual interventions. So, uh, optimization of your back office operations by a lot of RPA tools is something that is being adopted. Uh, Third important point is with regards to the cybersecurity. So while we give the right experience to the customers, while we automate our back office operations, it's extremely important to have a robust cybersecurity mechanism in place. And when I say cybersecurity, the way the bad actors are behaving today, it's not a simple hacker that is coming onto play and is trying to hack your system, but is applying bots, and not one bot but multiple bots. He's created multiple bots to attack your system, and as a defense, if you have a manual person sitting there fighting with a bot, you will never win the race. So there needs to be a security system which is having a autonomous functionality, which is driven by big data, and which is driven by AI and ML, which is able to counter these bot-like attacks. So a robust cybersecurity becomes extremely critical. And as a foundation to all these three is the data engineering capability. So a complete, right, structured, unstructured data which is having a right architecture of a data lake or a data mesh kind of a setup, and that is fueling the customer experience, that is fueling the back office operations, that is fueling your cyber security. I think data becomes a central and very important pillar of the organization. I think I touched upon these four elements and stop myself here. If anyone wants to have any
Nice.
questions.
Something you have to give Prasanna. Anyway, Prasanna will back up on the same. Again, I have no issues on that. But great insights where you have mentioned a lot more, because since you are handling more into that ecosystems, which is more into complex, completely changed. Even the other systems you have mentioned, like how it is enabling us to get into that, the third party systems, again, how these startups which your company focus more into creating the landscape has been forced. That's what you're saying. Like, no, it is taking the end of the legacy systems again, which is very important point where still major companies finding it out difficulty in bringing it out legal systems, or even moving towards the more matured systems again. regulations and the compliance also matured, and they're trying to create an important and a choice of change, which is trying to create all decades of information. And you rightly pointed out the numbers, especially coming from AI and comparison, which is part of the multiple bots and cybersecurity, especially. Again, you mentioned which is more attracting now is what growing need of the customer experience, back office operations. That's where the real crunch, which enables the digital and the right structure and unstructured fuels everything towards digital. Again, it matters a lot on that. It's a great insights, and nice to hear so many things again from you all. Coming back to Mr. Ashok Kumar, now you would have heard how digital people are doing and they're trying to bring it out. In your case, is digital banking being a banking of future, or the digital roadmap is already ready, or things are getting matured and we are trying to get adapt to the things?
As far as Karur Vysya Bank is concerned, we have started our digital journey some 3 years back. We took up first customer facing application, loan processing. As of now, my retail portfolio, my SME portfolio, as well as corporate portfolio is all handled through in a real-time online mode. As Sunit was telling, we have got integrations with UADA, with CIBIL, TransUnion, digital signatures, and we have a dynamic scorecards wherein which we evaluate what are the reasons for the rejections and keep on improving the scorecard so that the genuine borrowers are not impacted. I can say that now my entire loan portfolio of the bank is handled through the digital mode, straight through online, except for the physical visits for the assets which is being done physically. Otherwise, it is all end-to-end digital. This is one of the major initiative we initiated 3 years back, and it is running successfully. The major advantages what has been derived by us is that if you see the NPAs of the loans sanctioned through digital, it is almost very minimum. Let us not talk about the COVID situation, because the situation is very extraordinary. Nobody can predict what is happened. Otherwise, my NPA position in a digital lending portfolio is the most minimum, and there is good amount of the acceptance by the customer, because the speed at which the processing takes place, because usually when we do in manual mode, it takes anywhere between 15 days to 30 days. We have to send the papers, queries and all. Now all the questions are raised by the system itself through the online mode, and if it is not falling in the power of the respective manager, division manager, it gets escalated to the general managers at the credit department, and up to the MD level, the sanctions are made in the digital mode. That is one of the great initiatives successfully visualized and implemented by KVB. That is one thing. Second thing is digital onboarding of the customers through my mobile app, where all the checks are implemented right from Aadhaar verification, screening of customers, blacklisted list, and everything is being done. And we are also in the process of implementing the video KYC, where the customer actually after this, during the physical, onboarding of the customer electronic form, after account opening form, earlier we used to ask the customer to come to the branch to submit the physical documents. Now we are in the process of implementing video KYC, where in which customer need not walk into the branch. These are all the few things which we implemented, but we have a roadmap for implementing many more things. First thing, what we are trying to implement digital transformation process is in fraud detection. That is, as everybody told, the transaction through alternate channels is growing at an exponential speed. Like, not only the speed, as whenever there is speed and a transaction, you also should take care of the cyber threat, because whether we like it or not, this is an interconnected world. Banks cannot work in silos. They have to get connected to the partners in the ecosystem who are really dynamic in providing the services. When there is an API integration or other integrations, the security threat is really a big challenge, which everyone in the ecosystem is facing it. That also needs to be taken care. That's one thing. And other things, what we are thinking of going forward is back office operations, RPA implementations we are planning, and see service request made by the customer coming to the, instead of coming to the branch, taking all the service requests through the mobile banking. These are all some of the things. The thing is, as somebody told, digital transformation is not a project. It is a journey where each process in the bank will be analyzed depending upon the priorities and the cost benefit analysis. Maybe over a period of time, majority of the operations in the bank will come under this process, so that the customer gets good experience at a good speed, and banks also reduce the operating costs.
Great insights, sir. Like again, Karur Vysya Bank has a separate reputation and the customer profile specific, and still you entertain them and try to connect and bring it to them. It's a great experience. And again, rightly pointed out, to bring out digital journey is not just on the application side. Again, getting into regulators, civil, again, digital signatures, trying to address it, even addressing the genuineness of the customer, trying to get them the best service. And you even pointed out being in a banking industry where NPA position is more into that digital portfolio is minimum, and it's more of a positive sign. Trying to empower that through digital is not so easy task. People struggle a lot in those areas. Again, digital onboarding of customers, again, blacklisting of customers through digital mode. It puts a lot more. It should have enormous backend AI and other supported digital information. Otherwise, it doesn't come out easily. Again, you're pointing out to bring out video KYC, fraud detection, cyber threats, so that the customer gets good service and timely get addressed. And it will be more getting into customer digital instead of a corporate digital. It's a great science. And the challenging Karur Vysya Bank customers generally get the best out of it, and they'll get more engaged and try to create that trust factor, which goes part of digital and gets enabled. And it's a nice factors of that side. So coming back to Prasanna, like if you say it's measured into the key factors of digital transformation, what are some 1, 2, 3 which you feel, because you are already on the ahead of the curve? And again, Mr. Abhijit has pointed out enough on the internal and external and the kind of scales. So from your side, any 3 or 1 or 2 which you feel like key factors for digital transformation for the upcoming, like what our post-COVID people should feel or focus about?
I think customer behavior is changed post-COVID. I would say human augmentation is a very important aspect and one of the challenging aspect during the post-COVID, which I can see. That has really changed everything we offer to the customer. Customer used to go to cinema halls to watch movies, right? So the same customer is now moved on to the Netflix and must have downloaded many more other apps. To similar that cross industry innovation from entertainment will automatically come to your banking industry also. People will look at more and more contactless, touchless, more on voiced or more on augmented kind of experience, and automatically inherently or service provider also will embark on that journey. What do you mean that service provider like some of the companies like Infosys or Wipros, and they will also have a separate wing to really take care of how post-pandemic demand from a customer or demand from banks is being changed. So I think this is a whole impact, like cascading impact from one industry to another, and from customer demand to the bank is asking similar kind of a services from their service providers, and so on. So I think more will go towards a zero touch kind of a banking in a no sooner time. So some of the initiatives like SBI has launched some Timex or Titan contactless banking, or some of them launched video KYCs to do the video KYC for end user. He is not visiting your customers branches, or even your branch staff or field staff is not visiting customer to collect the KYC documents. So everything is going touchless, frictionless kind of a experience. This is what a customer demand, so on. Another angle is like banks or organizations will do a lot of reskilling exercises to reutilize their resources. So now sitting on a last 8 months of a profit or non-profit or that kind of a balance sheet, they will always look at what is the room to optimize their operations or optimize the cost, so that by April end they have to show some very good profits, right? So one of the angles is how to utilize existing resources, or how to reskill them for multiple other operations, or if they are hiring, for what purpose they are hiring, to do more and more automation. That's a trend we have seen in many banks. Many banks are now looking at SME or a lending kind of exercises to do more and more digitization. What does it mean? To reduce more manual middle errors, to reduce more of the operation cost, so that over a period of 5-6 years, we have a better digitization journey, straight through processing journey. This is what every organization will look at. And that means that people may hire more or less, but reskilling or reutilization of existing resource to greater extent, that will be the more emphasized. That's another angle towards human augmentation. How human behavior or human expectation is changing in a within organization. I think these are a few things which we have seen, Suresh, because the rest of the thing, like having a right architecture or a microservices, okay, that has become tradition. That has become health issue. If you are not doing, it is obvious you don't have a water at home. You have to have a right architecture to build on your top of use cases or mobile apps, or to give APIs to the startups or fintech. That is a sanity. That is a health issue. If you really want to become a sustainable bank in the next 5 years, while Google Pay or the last week we heard about a Facebook or a WhatsApp also coming up with the sub services, Phone Pay. Now these guys are providing same services, kind of a mutual fund or investments or wealth, okay, gradually on their apps, where they are sitting off half of the customers of the all the other banks. So if you have to compete or collaborate with these kind of so I think that's a more and more, this is a third wave, more and more collaboration will happen here onwards. If you are not able to provide that service to your consumer, tie up or take those service for the top end fintech or a top end another company and provide that service under your umbrella. So that's another post pandemic we have seen. Example, Jio had done massive collaboration with Facebooks or except Amazon by some competition, but I think Google or Microsoft or these top giants has collaborated with the Jio. Now just imagine how Jio movement will happen across India, and at the same time, bank like IndusInd Bank or DCB Bank and looking at the same customer, right? How do we do that? So I think how regulation will play a major role in this context. That's another angle. But I think that's a one way. That's a one area banks should really look at how when they want to really get into the next step. So technology will be always on a technology will be always there. You will have a regulations. We will have a cyber security. All these, you have a way better UI UX or better test automation best practices.
Great insights,
but out of
running out of time.
Really think,
we are running out of time.
No
surely we have well taken your points. Customer behavior, digital transformation, contactless, touchless service provider, and zero touch. And really you pointed out the fintech, Jio, and the kind of trauma it's going out to explore all the things. It's well taken, Prasanna. And as usual, that's what, like, no, we can continue the next other panel. Surely your views are taken, and it's beyond at par. Yeah, thanks for your time. Only one liner, if I want to take it from Mr. Ravish, and that to find in your organization, you want to put it as a digital transformation in one liner. In the interest of time, I want to take it from you also. You're on mute.
Yeah. So Suresh, I think for us, I think the bank is, is a bank known for its innovation, right? So we were the first, for example, on WhatsApp, Alexa, even account aggregator. I think for us, digital transformation is, for us, is all about how do you get and make customers and reach their everyday lives at a scale, right? I think you can have processes which might be pilots, you can do it. But I think unless and until you are ingrained in the customer's life, and you're doing the digital, whether it's business processes, products, services, but unless and until you're doing it at scale and getting into their everyday life, I think that's what digital transformation for us means.
Great insights. Again, in the interest of time, we want to conclude where it's enough people have shared their internal case relevant to the topics, and it has even enabled and put a multiplying factor to find out, is digital banking being a future banking? Is our bank digital roadmaps is ready? Yes, we are ready with that. And the kind of actions which is taking part of digital transformation, which empowers both customer, internal and external, and trying to create that share and care model. Again, it is already into that, and we are trying to conclude. And the digital transformation, whichever is having very unique reasons for infrastructure, electricity, and connectivity in terms of enabling such things, which is already into this act after this post-COVID. Surely we can see a different expectations from internal customers and external customers, and already the kind of transformation which we are into, which is scattered to the current position. Surely it will add the values for future also. and at least banks have realized saying like this an important area to be taken part of the internal, external, and even the regulators to add so that the corporate digital is moving towards the customer digital, where every individual customer is going to be treated as corporate, and we enable that extensive service and esteemed service to continue to deliver the bank financial institutions, which is required part of digital transformation. Thanks for your all valuable time and great insights. Nice talking to you all again, and we will meet in any other programs. But till the time, keep safe and take care of your all your health and family together.
Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
all.
Thanks,
Thanks for your
Suresh.
valuable
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.